Hey planty friends! Welcome to my channel, The Plant Archives. In today's video, I'm going to be going through my entire houseplant collection. I have some tropical plants, carnivorous plants, and some humidity-loving plants that I have in a humidity bin that I'll be showing you. A lot of my plants are kept at regular room humidity. I have a IKEA Vichto shelf that has Barina grow lights. I have the yellowish white ones, and they stay on for about 10 hours a day. I also have my IKEA Millsbo cabinet behind me where I house a lot of my Hoya carnivorous plants and other plants that require a little more humidity, or plants that I have put in here to rehab. I'll get into those later on in the video. So thank you for tagging along. I'm so happy you guys are here, and I hope that you like this video. And let's get started. I'm going to start talking about my Vichto shelf. I have a lot of my plants in different substrates. I have soil, moss, pond. I have my carnivorous plants. I have sand. And the first plant I'm going to show you is a little guy. This is my Monstera Ansonii aurea. This is actually a propagation of one of my other plants that I originally had. It's just in a clear glass yogurt container like this with a little crocheted cover pot on it that says Mother Sucka on it. My aunt made me this. I love it, and it fit perfectly around this little yogurt container. I love this one because it has a lot of fenestrations on this leaf and a lot of variegation on this leaf. And it's fun because you never know what you're going to get with the next leaf. This plant is very forgiving. I've learned in my care at least that this plant is very forgiving, and I very much enjoy it. I love it. Next, I'm going to show you a Hoya Bella, regular Hoya Bella, and a variegated Hoya Bella. This used to have all three of the types of Hoya Bella in it, but I recently tried to propagate the inner variegated one, and I was not successful. So they're so hard to propagate, and if you have any tips, leave them below because I just struggle a little bit with them. So this is my mix pot. I just have it in a Chinese food container with some soil and leca balls. This plant really likes humidity, and it likes to stay more on a moisture retention soil because it likes to stay a little more moist. Next, I'm going to show you a little bit of a trouble plant that I have in my collection. It was doing well for a while. It actually put out a lot of really pretty fenestrated leaves. And one day I looked at it and it was like splotchy and like light green. And that's when I noticed that there was something wrong with it. And I went to water it and all of the leaves fell off. So here she is, Philodendron tortum. This is all that's left of the plant. So it's just been sitting like this on my shelf for a while, like literally just like this on my Vichto shelf. It's ridiculous, but it'll do, and the roots look really good actually. And since I started putting the cloche on here, it actually grew back a little bit. Next up, I have a Philodendron Florida Beauty in Pond, and this plant is actually a propagation of the mother plant that I have, and this one is actually bigger than the mother plant. And look at these leaves, they are so pretty. They're so pretty. Like, I'm just obsessed with these leaves. They're just like perfect, and I don't know what made them so perfect, but like, just look at that, it's so pretty. Next up, I have a Philodendron Soderoy. It's just this little guy. It's really cute. It doesn't do much. Just keep it in this little ceramic pot. It's really cute. I got it from a little boutique near me, and I think it's the cutest thing ever. I'm a sucker for some good handmade ceramics. There's a new leaf coming in. I'm gonna get into more of the trailing slash like climbing-ish terrarium, I guess, plants. I have a Margravia sententia. Keep it in this little plastic cup with a little bit of water in it. And what's cool about this plant that I really like, it starts out like with a pink leaf and it forms a rainbow effect on the leaves. Next I have another terrarium humidity loving plant. I keep it in this little plastic cup. It's a Ficus thornburgii. It's also known as string of frogs because the little leaves kind of resemble frogs. Philodendron subestatum. Undersides, they're just all red and maroon. And this is a Monstera Ansonii mint. This is the one that I bought online. I was also sent this plant by one of my friends. We did a trade and she sent me this. I have anthurium. I think it's an anthurium. I think it's an Anthurium pallidiflorum. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave a comment down below if I'm just dumb. But this plant gave me kind of a hard time in the beginning. It's really cute and it's finally like kind of thriving in my care. If it was thriving, it'd probably be a lot bigger. But it's happy for what it is. Again, it's like a sassy plant. I consider this plant like, hey, I'm here, look at me. Like, I don't know. I think this plant is sassy and I kind of want to name it. Leave a comment below what I should name this plant. I feel like she deserves a name and it'll be fun. This is a propagation of Philodendron Rio. I don't really have much to say about it other than the plant I had was declining, took cuts, put them in here, and it's been growing in here ever since. Monstera Ansonii aurea, cutting a propagation of the mother plant. The leaves are kind of small, like the top ones right there. They're little. Variegation's okay. This plant, okay. My Philodendron pastazanum silver, very sad, extremely sad plant. It's one leaf. It's literally one freaking leaf. I had the same issue with this plant as I had with my tortum, where the entire plant like just dropped all of its leaves and it just was unhappy. Watered it, put a cloche over it, and this is the result. Then I have my Philodendron silver sword. It's not doing much. This is actually the propagation of the plant, so I have to figure out a different way to I guess try and propagate this plant. It's just not really the happiest. Philodendron billietiae. This plant used to only be these two leaves and this leaf, so it used to only have literally these three leaves for the longest time. And then one day it put out this leaf, and now there's another one coming in right here. I worry about things and then they happen. So this is my Philodendron Florida Beauty mother plant. But yeah, the leaves are still kind of pretty. I kind of like these ones. They look kind of funny to me. Reminds me of a dog with like little ears, or like the cats that have like the ears that are folded down. I believe this is a Maranta. I think it's a Maranta. I don't know. I always get confused between Maranta and Calathea. But I got this as a gift from my boyfriend for Christmas. I had it for a year, so I got it from him for last Christmas. And they like fold up. They're like called a prayer plant, but these leaves are just so pretty. I've never been able to keep this plant alive, and then he got it for me for Christmas and I panicked and I was like, oh my god. And here we are over a year later and it's thriving. I don't know what I'm doing right, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I figured it out and it's staying for good. It's getting huge. And this is going to be my collection of plants from my IKEA Millsbo tall cabinet. I have a Hoya Waitii variegated. So this little plant, it's got some nice variegation on it. Next I have a Hoya Metheld. It's just in this little round clear glass vessel. Hoya Memoria. I also have it in a glass yogurt container, yogurt, whatever. It's huge. It's like outgrowing this. I always forget what this one's called, but the leaves are really cool. And they have a lot of interesting coloration. Then I have a non-variegated Hoya Weirdii. I have a Hoya Crimson Queen. This plant is in this teeny tiny little pot. I have it on a pole, like a little chopstick. It very much so needs to be repotted. It's huge. Like, look at this little, look at this. This is insane. These leaves are massive and it always falls over. You just always have that plant that falls over. It's this one. It's this one. Next, I have a Hoya Polyneura. And I actually just realized that this plant has a little baby growing out of it, which has not always been the case. So that's really exciting. It's grown quite a bit. I kind of obsess over this plant a little bit. This is new. I just noticed this now. This is so cool to me. They have little babies. It's so cute. Maybe I'll take that and I'll pot it up in another one and make another plant. It's a Hoya Carnosa Jade. And this one is the other one that I was talking about that just plops over, just falls over whenever it feels like it. I have some more Hoya. I have Hoya Bella, Annika Boy, and Louis Boy in this pot. It's really pretty. Also in no drainage. This is just the substrate it came in. I want to say it's some kind of like bark and some perlite. My little Hoya linearis. I just have it in this little vase propagating. The last part of my Hoya collection is a plant that I got a long while ago. I left it out of my cabinet for too long. I thought it died. So I watered it, put it in a propagation bin. And to my surprise, here it is. Hoya New Guinea Ghost. It finally put out a new leaf, which is this little one right here. I'm really surprised that it came back to life. I was very, very, very surprised. I saw it one day and I was like, oh my gosh, it plumped back up and it is alive. So plants, they really honestly do want to live and they will do anything to live. Now I'm going to move on to more plants in my cabinet. This is a philodendron snowdrift. It's got a new leaf coming in right here. It's right here. It's pretty. And moving on to my Monstera Esqueleto. Have it in no drainage with pon. It's 2 leaves. And I think there's another one coming in, but there's also a cute little root popping out right here. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for this little guy because I've had some trouble. I also have this Monstera Esqueleto. I have it on a moss pole and it's growing. The root in the back is so cool. It's so green. I have a Philodendron Florida Ghost. It actually has another leaf coming in the back, but my goal for this is to be more variegated. This is a Philodendron bipenifolium. It has a little baby leaf coming in. This plant is really little, so I think I want to repot it and see if I can get it to go bigger. Another one in pon, little vessel. It's a Philodendron Silver Sword narrow form. It's really cute. It's really little, very tall. It's a very like tall plant. Next up, I have my Philodendron gigas. It's just in a no drainage pot with some moss and the roots. Like the roots just look so good. This plant is actually growing really well and I'm really happy with it. I have it on a moss pole. It's sizing up, which I'm really excited about. The whole reason why I planted this, why I put it on a pole so that it would get sized up, and so far it's working out pretty well. You can see the difference in the leaf size, like this one versus this one. Changed quite a bit. And this new leaf looks like it's going to be a big one too. Then I just have this little avocado. It's an avocado pit. It kind of just does what it wants. I bought this little vessel to keep it in. I have Philodendron adabopoense. You can kind of see the roots, how pretty they look. Yeah, it's in no drainage. I have my Philodendron Hopeii. It's growing pretty well. It's looking pretty cool. The leaves, these stems are just so freaking long. They just are so long, but the leaves are so cool. And I love the shape of them. You can kind of see the roots in here. It looks fun. They're so fun. I love plants. It's just gonna be hanging out off camera. Then I have a Philodendron glorious. I don't have much to say about this plant. It kind of looks sad. This is my Monstera. My roots are crazy. They're insanity. But I accidentally ripped off the top part of this plant, so now it's just propagating with really good roots, and hopefully one day it'll push out another leaf. Today is not that day. Then I have my Paraiso Verde. This, you can see the roots coming in. It's in a really small pot. It has a new leaf. One leaf. And it's a small pot. This is my Philodendron Strawberry Shake. The leaves, like, look at the leaves. They are just so pretty and so fun. Like, you can't. Oh my gosh, I just poured that all over the floor. I just poured water all over the floor from this plant. It has a new leaf coming in. I still can't believe I poured that all over the floor. It's like literally on my foot too. It's disgusting. I held it too much at an angle, and I can't believe I poured that all over my foot. That's so obnoxious. Ugh. Now I have to find something to wipe that up. Here I have my Monstera Ansonii. Needs to be repotted. Looks pretty. Is pretty happy. The leaves are so variegated. This next one is a variegated Philodendron Heartleaf. This is the little guy. It doesn't have a lot of variegation, which is kind of upsetting to me. Here is one of my absolute favorite plants. I actually had a problem with this plant originally. When I first bought it, I had it for a while in my cabinet. Then I was like, oh, I'm going to switch to pond. Switched it to pond. No drainage. Plant dropped almost all of its leaves. And here she is. Here she is now. This is my Philodendron Jose Bono. It was doing really well when I started to fertilize it, and it got really big. And lastly, for my tropical houseplants, a Philodendron Burromarks Flame. It's getting really tall. Like, it's massive. It's like the height of my hand. That's the newest leaf. These are the leaves. Look at those roots. Next, I'm going to show you my anthurium, and then after that, I'm going to show you my carnivorous plants. So I'm not going to take the anthurium out of the humidity bin because the bin is filled with about that much water, and I don't want to spill it all over my floor like I did with my Philodendron Strawberry Shake, because we're not going to have that today because it's just, yeah, I don't like pouring plants on the floor. It's not fun. And then following that, I will show you my carnivorous plants. I also will not be taking those out of my cabinet. I'll just read off the names on the tag. My cabinet is a disaster. It's a huge mess. So don't mind that when you see them. These are some propagations of my painted lady Philodendron. I had to chop it up because it wasn't doing very well. This is the top portion of my Monstera, my Alba Monstera. And that is a cutting of my Philodendron Florida Beauty. This is a pitcher plant, bugbat cobra pitcher plant. This little Hasami porcelain pot, and it seems to be doing pretty well. Then I have this little cup. It's a Pinguicula emarginata. It's flowered a few times. I also have a Utricularia longifolia, Huamavensis, It's just these two little guys. Pinguicula zachari, just a little. There's actually two of them in here. Endofloria Arambaria Nuevo Leon. Just this little guy. It has quite a bit of growth. It's got a few plants in here actually. Pinguicula Florian. Pinguicula seductora. It's got some pink coloration. Amarginata ex Elizabethae. Pinguicula cyclosecta. Pinguicula laxifolia. Pinguicula gracilis. Marginata. It's got a few growths and it also is flowering. Not a red leaf. A Ignata alobo. Very gigantea. Cute. Lautner 92-52. This one's actually starting to go dormant. So you know when your pinguicula are starting to go dormant, when they start to look more like a succulent. This cuensis, coers. It's got quite a few in here actually. Gina, macrophylla. These are also going dormant. Again, you can kind of see the little succulent. Pinguicula sethos. This is variegated alba Malengo ex lycoselecta. Hemipiphytica. I can never pronounce this one, but I'll put the name on the screen of this one. Zachari. It's Pinguicula hanka. Pinguicula agnata ex gypsicola. Morinensis A. Pinguicula Fraser Butte. Pinguicula titan. Pinguicula lawiana. Ignata redleaf ex rectifolia. It's blooming. Pinguicula tina. Really cute. Huahua pen. I like this one. Ibere. And Pinguicula Marciano. All right, so this is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for tagging along, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.